Hi, welcome to this discussion. I thought I wanted to. Hi, I'm Venkat. So you know me, you all know me well. So basically, I thought I will introduce you to analytics and intelligent automation, which has already disrupted several industry, including finance and accounting. So I thought I will just give an introduction about what analytics and in which places we can implement analytics within finance and accounts domain, as well as where are the places we can bring in intelligent automation actually. So before we get into the actual use cases of where and how these aspects can be implemented, first of all, we need to understand exactly what analytics is all about and what intelligent automation is all about. So let's move on to the next slide. So basically, there are several forms of analytics available. So, but here we will be touching upon only two key areas. One is predictive analytics, and another is business intelligence. Right. So we have other types of analytics also available. Right. But we will just touch upon this particular area. So when you take up the predictive analytics, primarily we'll have artificial intelligence, and within that there are two subcomponents. One is machine learning, another is deep learning. These are the two components within artificial intelligence. And next one is business intelligence. So in business intelligence, we are having something called as descriptive analytics, wherein we are going to use certain charts, graphs, as well as we are going to use all the basic statistics aspects to exactly aggregate and show to bring in some kind of summarized perspective about the data actually. And then we are having something called as reporting and dashboarding. So reporting and dashboarding is basically is helpful in monitoring several metric related parameters and aspects. So how we are performing on a day-to-day basis with respect to finance and accounts operations. For all those reasons, we can use this reporting and dashboard. Uh, so basically, this when it comes to the predictive analytics, we can do something called as modeling within this using machine learning and deep learning. That is one part to the story. There is another part also that's called as we can also use ML and deep learning methods for bringing in something called as intelligent automation. So we'll be discussing about all these aspects as we go further. So if you take up the analytic types, we know that we are having predictive analytics, business intelligence. Within predictive, we have artificial intelligence, and within business intelligence, we have descriptive analytics, reporting, and dashboarding. Okay, so for getting these things done, what tools are being used? So for implementing or for coding and deploying the methods in artificial intelligence, we are using languages like Python or TensorFlow. So TensorFlow is a kind of framework. Uh, so so basically, these things are used in order to bring in the relevant coding and deployments actually. Um, so if at all I wanted to do some kind of forecasting, I can do some basic coding using Python in certain environment that is specified for Python. So that's the place where you'll have the options to uh, code and execute, compile and execute the machine learning uh, aspects. So that's the reason I'm saying that we need a certain environment or an IDE, we call it as, right? So to do that. And there are several packages available in the market. Um, and next one is for descriptive analytics. We are going to use Excel and Power BI. Power BI can be um integrated with Excel, as well as we can also use Tableau. So Tableau is again, I mean, it has got powerful methods to build SQL queries. SQL is structured query language. Basically, it's a kind of querying mechanism wherein I can connect to a database and I can just place certain queries For example, I would like to see the overdue invoices. So I can just type in and I can just get it, or I can code it in a way that every time I can have a kind of live update uh, about my overdue invoices, day in day out, second in second out, minute in minute out. So that live update I can get from Tableau as well as with Power BI. So basically that makes the analytics more online rather than offline kind of analytics, right? So that is the advantage of using these tools. And even reporting and dashboarding also, we can come out with the layouts. We can design layouts using Tableau and come out with triggers, so that as well as we can code, we can bring in the queries inside the Tableau report, so that on a live basis it can show the metric performance. For example, I wanted to know the how much of vendor, where we are in terms of vendor payment discounts, what percentage of the discounts we were able to get, how much, what percentage of the discounts we missed out, or to what dollar value we have missed out as of current minute, uh, how much, where we are in terms of the customer vendor discount. So all of this can be tracked online on a live basis using Tableau or Power BI actually. So these are the different tools and that are used for facilitating the mentioned type of analytics. And basically, what is the benefit of each category of analytics? I just touched upon, briefly, I touched upon in the previous slide for what purpose we can use AI, for what purpose we can use reporting and dashboarding, the Power BI and the Tableau kind of things, for what purpose we can use it. But if at all we really wanted to bring in a kind of in-depth understanding, so when it comes to deep learning, we can use it for image, speech, and sound recognition and natural language processing. That means using your deep learning methods, I can input a contract and the key elements of the contract, vendor contract, or it could be a customer contract. So those things it can understand, and then I can code it in a way, or I can, there are ready-made packages available in the market also, so that these contracts, the key things can be extracted and they can be added into the relevant application. That means it's going to save so much of human effort in those areas. As well as whenever I'm going for a kind of invoice processing, I wanted to find out whether the signature is correct or is it authentic. Either I can go for a digital signature. If the digital signature is not there and it is a handwritten signature, then still using deep learning methods, I can go and authenticate whether that signature is correct or not. So that these are some of the advantages of having the deep learning methods. Then we have machine learning, wherein I can go for classification and forecasting. Classification is something like whether it's a PO or non-PO invoice. Because if I have a shared service center and I have nearly 25% of the FTEs who are trained only in non-PO invoices, and the remaining 75% can do PO invoices or PO as well as non-PO. So in that case, I need to do some kind of classification. So can I bring in that classification? I can do it using machine learning methods actually. Or I wanted to find out whether an invoice is a fraudulent invoice or not. That again, I can use machine learning. I wanted to check out whether my email is a spam email or not. I can use machine learning classification methods. I wanted to forecast how much receivables I will be able to realize in the forthcoming next 1 year period, or next 6 months period, or next 3 months period. I can use forecasting methods. So these are some of the advantages of using, or some of the utilities of using machine learning methods actually. When it comes to descriptive analytics, so in descriptive analytics, basically we are talking about metric monitoring. I wanted to monitor yearly payment discounts. I wanted to monitor, receivable turnover ratio, or I wanted to monitor basically my vendor payments. I wanted to monitor how much of customer onboarding has happened. I wanted to identify how many customers I have paid. How many vendors I have paid within the terms of the contract. All those metric monitoring can be done using these methods of descriptive analytics actually. As well as we can use charts and graphs, everything combined together. We can do a lot of groupings, like we can do region-wise grouping, we can use invoice type grouping or billing type grouping. We can use, so different types of groupings can be brought in to make the report uh, highly intuitive and focused for a specific set of audience. So these are the different methods, different benefits of using descriptive analytics and reporting and dashboarding by leveraging the tools like Tableau and Power BI. That's what I'm trying to say. So I didn't touch upon supervised, unsupervised learning techniques in machine learning as it is a bit technical in nature. So I don't want to get into that aspect. So overall, supervised is basically we are having several labels. So we need to understand something else. Y is equal to f of x, wherein y is basically the dependent variable and x is the independent variable. So that means a combination of y, x come together to bring an impact on y. Combination of elements are responsible for the amount of invoices that I'm getting, or combination of x's are responsible for the errors that I'm getting in the invoices, wherein the errors in the invoices are y, and the combination of those elements, factors, right, like understanding about the invoice or training drawback or issues in the invoice itself while it is coming through, all of that becomes your x variable. So in a supervised methodology, you will have y variables and x variables. Using that, you'll be able to do the classification. But in an unsupervised method, you will not have that y and x obviously there. So that means you will have only a bunch of data, and within that bunch of data, you will create clusters. You will identify basically which of those data are which we can label those clusters. You can say this cluster seems to be from a particular region. This cluster seems to be coming from another region. So likewise, such kind of clustering can be done using your unsupervised learning methods actually. So since it is a bit technical, I did not come out with supervised and unsupervised. So I just gave an introduction. So if you see in finance and accounting, the kind of use cases we can bring in by leveraging predictive analytics. So within treasury, for example, we can come out with cash position forecasting. How much of cash position? Sorry. So how much of receivables are there? How much of payables are there? How much payables I need to pay in the next 2 weeks? How much receivables I need to get in the next 2 weeks? So based on that, what is going to be my cash position? So that is one important aspect of your treasury. So those things can be really predicted depending on the volume and all that. You can also do some kind of buy and sell analytics. So buy and sell analytics is basically sometimes the treasury will be parking their funds in certain investment tools. So in certain investment vehicles. So you can get those insights whether you need to buy it or sell it. So such kind of analytics we can do. And basically, next one is where I need to invest. Which one is a better way of investing? So that investment decision modeling also I can do using using the predictive analytics as well as sales forecasting, because treasury literally is all about how the money will be optimally used, incoming money will be optimally used, how well you structure your payables in a way that you don't go run out of cash out situations. As a result, your operations are impacted. So here sales forecasting is one important aspect which is helpful for the treasury. So treasury can leverage the method forecasting methods like Winter's decomposition method, or there are several tools available, Arima method. So likewise, there are several packages available, ready-made packages available within the machine learning, wherein you can leverage those packages and you will be able to arrive at the accurate forecasting actually. So you can do sales forecasting. When it comes to accounts payable, we can talk about how much invoice volume is going to come up in the future. That you can very well understand, and accordingly you can plan yourself, and you can also identify whether a particular invoice is a fraudulent one or not, as well as you can identify whether a vendor is fraudulent or not, right? So at a transactional level also you can use this kind of predictive methods, as well as at a strategic level also you can use it. When it comes to accounts receivable, you can predict how much collectibles will come up in the future. You can identify within your non-performing customer base, you can identify, based on that you can identify which are all fraud customers or not. So based on their different backgrounds and all that, you can very well identify whether what is the degree of possibility of fraudulent aspects. Those things you can very well predict using your machine learning methods actually. And you can also do claims forecasting, and specific to record to report, usually a lot of recons netting and posting will happen. For example, a transaction might have happened, an expense, for example, we take a banking statement. Within the banking statement, so many transactions are there, so there is a cash position available with you. So many $1 million have gone out yesterday. So now I need to find out of these so many $1 million that have gone out, to which are the vendors I have made the payment. So using the banking statements, I'll be identifying, okay, this payment belongs to overseas vendor, this payment belongs to internal vendor, this is the vendor that to whom I have paid. You need to identify, and then after identifying, you will just go into ERP package and you'll just try to reconcile the payment that has gone out with the list of transactions, and then you will tally it actually, right? So you will net it and you will post it. So all of those things, identification of vendor and netting it and posting it, everything can be just be automated. I mean, you can very well automate it, as well as you can very well classify it also. So predictive analytics is of great helps. I mean, here in predictive analytics, you can do a classification of the vendors, which this transaction belongs to which vendor. So that identification can be done using the predictive analytics. And by using similar methods in machine learning, you can go ahead, and by bringing in other levers also, you can like robotic process automation and all, you'll be able to totally automate the entire process of reconciliation, netting, and posting. That can be done. So I will come on to that later. So next one is basically the open items analysis and monitoring. So how much of open items are there? What is a possibility that what more open items might be coming up, and basically what is getting resolved, what is not resolved, why it is not getting resolved. For all those analytics, we can use predictive modeling as well as the normal descriptive analytics methods actually, as well as if at all you wanted to find out about book closure tracking, you can use normal non-predictive analytics, normal descriptive aspects itself, you can use it for the book closure tracking. And if for FP&A, if at all I wanted to do product portfolio predictive modeling, like which portfolio I need to grow, I need to reinvest my money, for in which product I need to promote, which product I need to kill. For all those predictive modeling, I can use. Um, I can for all those circumstances I can use the predictive analytics. Then comes the customer behavior predictive modeling, like what the market, what is the pulse of the market, what they are thinking, and whether they would they will promote this product or not that I'm introducing. All those predictive modeling can be identified, but can be done using the predictive analytics. And then comes the product life cycle predictive modeling. So when it comes to product life cycle predictive modeling, um, you'll be able to understand exactly, a particular product, what is the reliability of it, and how long it can be. It will be available, and then all that. So this life cycle predictive modeling, as well as the normally whether the product currently in which stage it is in. Is it in a growth phase, or is it in a maturity phase, or is it in a decline phase? That predictive modeling can also occur. That means at a manufacturing level, I can identify the reliability of a product in terms of its lifetime, as well as in a financial aspects. I can identify which product to promote, right? So which product, whether it's going to be in a growth or a decline or a maturity phase. So that I will be able to promote my product mix accordingly. And then comes the market sentiment analysis. Market sentiment analysis is basically what the market is thinking about in terms of my company valuations, and basically the whether it is positive in nature or not, whether that positivity will be sustained in the future also, so that the valuation is sustained or the valuation will increase significantly. All those predictions can be done using predictive analytics. And moving on, so far we discussed about predictive analytics. Now we need to discuss about uh, intelligent automations using in finance and accounting using the AI techniques actually. So that means I can automate, as I told you before, I can automate the abstraction of a vendor contract. Um, the natural language can processing using that can it can read a document, it can understand the nuances of it, and those nuances it can go and abstract in the in the computer within the computer actually, so within the computer application. So that's one example I gave. So likewise in treasury, what other things we can do? We can do payment run automation by, by bringing in a kind of by leveraging uh, robotic process automations and other aspects. Um, and then we are talking about automated financial transaction identification and posting. So I can just go and put a banking statement, or I can just give a banking statement to the particular intelligent automation module. It can just take the banking transactions, and it can identify which banking transaction, whether it's a payment or a receivable, from where it has come, and then it can just go and identify, and then it can post those transactions within ERP. That's also possible actually. Automatically, this can be done. Next one is accounts payable. Within accounts payable, we can automate the entire invoices, irrespective of in which language it is in. It's Chinese, or it is in Japanese, or it is in English, or it's in French, or it's in Hungarian. Irrespective of the position, in which position it is available, like the invoice code is in some place, different places in different invoices. It doesn't matter. Using this intelligent automation, you will be able to do a kind of automation irrespective of the type of language, or irrespective of the position of the details. Sometimes the invoice number, or the invoice value, or the invoice units, GST numbers, or the withholding tax information, all of those information will not be standard. It will not be in a standard position across vendors, but still using this intelligent automation, you'll be able to implement all those aspects actually. So next one is automated vendor onboarding. So here we are getting the vendor contracts, and then we are getting the vendor identification details, and we want to onboard it. So we'll be doing a kind of due diligence. So all of that aspects can be very well be automated. Then likewise in accounts receivable, we can talk about customer query handling. We can use chatbots. That again is an intelligent automation aspect actually. As well as we can do automated claim processing, just the way how invoices processed, same way we can also automate the claims. And then we are talking about, as we discussed before, the automated ERP recons, netting and posting that can be performed using the intelligent automation aspects. And we can also try to, so when I say automated, I mean there will be exceptions, but even if 30% of the recons and netting and posting, if they are getting automated, think about the benefit it can bring in. Same way as I mentioned before, we can go for customer behavior predictive modeling, product life cycle predictive modeling, where it is, uh, whether it is in a mature phase or decline phase. All of those things can be predicted actually. So how this intelligent automation is done? It is done using OCR or intelligent character reading, or OCR is a optical character reading actually. So if we are having an ICR module, then that ICR can irrespective of the text position, irrespective of where that particular aspect is there. I mean, whether it's written as INV code or invoice code or invoice number, it will know it's invoice. It will know it is a number specific to an invoice, and then it will extract it. So that capability will be there in intelligent character reader. So that ICR is basically is as a result of your AI methodologies. So, so the offshoot of that is your ICR actually, that capability. And then after that information is taken, extracted from the documents, it has to be input into the application, into ERP application or any finance and accounts application. You can use the RPA, robotic process automation methods. So this combination is really a great combination. That's the reason why it's called as intelligent automation. Only RPA will not be called as intelligent automation. It will be called as a kind of simple robotic automation actually. So I thought I will bring in a kind of uh, a kind of use case for you. Let me first of all move this up. Uh, just moving this up here. Where just visibility problems are there. So I'm just going to, this is a typical use case in finance and accounts. End to end, I'm talking about starting from onboarding the vendor details to reviewing the vendor. I mean, starting from receiving the vendor details for onboarding, and then reviewing whether the document submitted is authentic or not. If they are authentic, whether the documents are completely provided or not. And then comes the, if it is authentic and the documents provided are comprehensive enough, then the particular vendor will be onboarded, and then the vendor contract will be taken up, and the vendor contract will be reviewed, and the nuances will be picked up manually, and then it will be abstracted, right? And then comes the vendor invoice. So the vendor invoice will be received. The invoice will be cross-checked for compliance to contract and financial terms. It will be we'll find out whether it's a PO or non-PO. Accordingly, we'll do matching process, and then we either pay or reject the invoice. So the top one is basically a one-time activity for a vendor, and the below one is as and when the vendor is providing the product, the service specific, or the supplying of raw material or supplying of a sub-service to us. Accordingly, we based on that we will pay multiple times actually. So in these activities, I mentioned about several aspects. So one is basically the vendor document completeness check, whether it is complete or not, whether I have all the documents that is necessary for. I'm sorry. whether I have all the documents that I have for doing the completeness check, like whether all the documents are available or not. That's what I'm trying to say. Whether the documents submitted to me are authentic or not. Whether the vendor, I mean the automatically onboarding the vendor. So automatically doing a document completeness check, automatically doing a document authenticity check, onboarding the vendor, and then even we can do vendor type classification, because sometimes not all the vendors, not all the people will be adept in abstracting the vendor contract. Some people will be adept in onboarding or abstracting utility related vendor contracts. Some of them will be really adept in doing the core business related vendor contracts. So likewise, there will be a skill set variation, because sometimes tax related, some of the vendor contracts will have a lot of tax aspects. So that means you need to have a specialist, a person who is a specialist in taxing aspect. So that person only will be able to abstract the vendor contracts. So in these aspects, it's very important that I do a classification, saying that okay, this belongs to this type of vendors. So it has to go to this section of people. This vendor, this particular thing goes to this belongs to core vendor contracts. Then it has to go to this type of people. This particular contract will have so much of tax related aspects. So that means this particular contract should go to this particular section of people. So this classification can be done using the intelligent automation, I mean intelligent routing and classification aspects. As well as I wanted to check whether the contract document is complete in all aspects. That also can be automated. I wanted to check whether the contract document is authentic or not. That also can be checked automatically. I wanted to do classification and allocation to the associate for processing that contract. I can do it. So this is already covered before. And then I wanted to abstract the contract. Abstraction is basically picking the nuances from the contract and putting it in the right place. I can do it. I want to check the invoice, the authenticity of the vendor's invoice. I can do it. I wanted to do a automated two-way, three-way matching. If it is a PO invoice, I can do it. I wanted to do automatically the invoice indexing. I can do it. I want to post invoice in ERP automatically. I can do it. So in all these aspects, we can bring in automation and intelligent automation aspect, wherein seal, signature, I mean handwritten signature, language variation, different type of contracts, invoices, all of that can be classified, automated, abstracted into the relevant applications, abstracted as well as posted into the relevant applications, computer applications I'm talking about. So when you say automated, not everything can be automated 100%, but still there is a huge amount of automation possibility, and depending on the business model. For example, if I'm having a shared service center where I'm having let's say 1,000 people only doing the invoice processing, or invoice processing, contract abstractions, vendor onboarding, in those kind of business model, definitely these automations will bring you the return on investment within 1 year or 2 years. Okay, so that is the amount of impact it has. And with the advent of methods like cloud and all, you create this type of system commonly for several companies, several organizations, and host those applications, those intelligent automation applications onto cloud. So that means several vendors can, or several organizations can send their vendor related information to this service provider, cloud service provider, and there this particular vendor or contract abstraction, contract review, authenticity checks, invoice processing, all of that can be automated. And given the multi-usage, that means same tool is used for multiple organizations. That means the ROI will be much faster because the volume increases, right? So if as the volume increases, the amount of money that you are investing in this automation, the amount of money that you are investing in bringing in the classification modules, the AI specific, machine learning specific classification modules, machine learning specific or intelligent contract abstraction, all of this will yield you multiple benefits. The ROI will be much faster, right? So that is that's how many business models work actually. Um, so 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 it's not about how much I can automate. It's about whether I am getting what is the level of accuracy I'm going to get out of it. What is the amount of exceptions that's going to be there post automation, and how much is the ROI, or how much is the benefit I'm going to get. Like when I say benefit, we invest so much, what is the payback, or what is the amount I'm going to receive on a year-on-year basis. So it's more about cost avoidance in the future, that I don't need to keep I don't need to keep investing so much. And it is a fact that these automations can work 24/7. So they can be structured, they can be uh, orchestrated in a way that they can take up multiple uh, activities, similar activities they can take up. So as a result, the benefits will increase also. There are some costs associated with them. Cost is basically, if at all I wanted to create something from the scratch, some cost is incurred. License cost will be there, maintenance cost will be there, but there will always be a kind of NPV analysis we can do. We can do all of those return on investment analysis to find out whether this is going to be beneficial to us or not. So after doing that cost benefit analysis, we can very well think about implementing them. Either it can be, as I mentioned before, either it can be implemented individually within your organizations, or it can be implemented through other service providers. There are several service providers in the market actually, right? So this is a typical use case. So such kind of typical use case can be explored for your accounts receivable, for your treasury operations, for your FP&A operations. Uh, Even it can be extended beyond also. Not only AP means accounts payable, accounts receivable. We can also extend it to order to cash. We can extend it to record to report. Instead of just touching upon general ledger, we can extend it to record to report. We can extend accounts payable basically to, uh, starting from procure to pay. That means it can touch upon procurement also, right? So that is the benefit. Like that means multiple auxiliary functions within an organization can be linked and they can be automated. So as per my experience in this particular use case, the guesstimated automation could be around 50 to 60%. What are the typical failures that we see in intelligent automation? Typical failures is, if I am going to bring in just technologists into the on the ground, and I'll ask them, okay, why don't you go and tell me which other things can be automated? They will just think only from a technology perspective. So For example, I went to a shared service center. We were doing a finance and accounts due diligence, and in China region, a person was one full-time FTE was allocated only for taking data from two applications, reconcile and repost it in another application. And when this use case was given, definitely the technology said, okay, I can go ahead and do this automation. I can just go ahead and eliminate that aspect. But the problem is the root cause over there is that root cause needs to be identified. Why? Because for both the applications, they are not speaking to each other. There is no API involved in that. If we just build an API, that's going to reduce. I mean, there is no need for someone to sit manually do the reconciliations. That's the whole point. So whenever you are going for an intelligent automation exercise, have a good combination of process consultants, the person who is having knowledge in finance and accounts. For example, if you're going to do it in finance and accounts, you need to have a functional person who is having good knowledge in finance and accounts, as well as a technology person. Both should collaborate with each other and they have to work. That's first thing. So that's very, very important. We need to think from all angles, right? So and second aspect is, for example, if I am having an invoice which is non-editable scanned invoice, the technologists will say I will go for an ICR, intelligent character reader. It will make things much faster, more accuracy will be there. But if we are talking about a person who understands both worlds, like the process world as well as the re-engineering world, the process improvement world as well as the technology world, that person will say that instead of before going for ICR exercise, why don't you try to standardize the invoices that are coming in? That's first thing. Second thing is make them editable, get them in editable format, so that the costly aspect of ICR can be avoided to some extent. So that is the perspective people like me can bring in. And you should be relying on both these people, like people like me as well as the technologists. So that's very important. If that's not happening, then your automation costs will be superseding the cost, the benefit you are going to get out of the entire exercise. And sometimes you'll also have several unknown exceptions, like because the variety will be higher, the mix will be higher, volume will be low. So in those circumstances, the benefit of automation will not be realized much sooner, unless you feel that there is a huge amount of regulatory aspect connected to that angle. And for me, that if I take that regulatory fines and regulatory aspects, regulatory expenses into consideration, then the amount of money I spend for automation is nothing, then you can go for that. Otherwise, don't go for that. Wherever you have high mix, low volume kind of exceptions, try to do some kind of process re-engineering there. Even volume differences, some volume, that's the reason I was mentioning before, instead of going for an end-to-end automation by yourself, internalizing, be dependent on other service providers, have strong data governance aspects with them so that the security aspects of the data will be taken care by that service provider. And they will take care of, because their bread and butter is to automate and maintain things for you. So there is a difference between boutique consultings and there is a difference between service provider. Don't go to the boutique consulting wherein they only provide automation. They don't provide the service. Like the whatever process you have, if the invoices are coming in, they don't get the invoice, they don't process it, and wherever possible, they don't automate and give it to you. They don't do it. So there is a difference between boutique consulting and service providers. So be very careful when you're going for boutique consulting because of the ROI considerations and because of your dependence on them actually. If they go off, then if the robot is having an issue, and sometimes they may not be maintaining it also actually. So service provider is very important. And by going to people like me, you will understand when to re-engineer and automate, when to just automate without re-engineering, when there is no automation is needed. So that you will understand. If you don't do that, then it will become a failure point in your automation journey. Sometimes there will be problems with your input anomalies. Like there will be huge input anomalies will be there, like quality of the documents coming in, non-standard aspects. So sometimes only half the invoice will come in. The second page might be missing in many places. So such kind of occurrences will have an impact. So before you embark on a journey of automation, make sure your input part of it is taken care, right? In terms of resolution of the documents that are coming in terms of completeness of the documents that are coming in terms of standardization of the documents that are coming in. So don't hurry up actually. It's very important that you take care of these aspects. For that, certain amount of process re-engineering should be there. As well as don't just randomly do the automation. That is one problem with service providers also. They randomly do the automation because they don't have a transformation strategy in place. So if at all you really wanted to make the most out of the intelligent automation by yourself or from a service provider, it's important that there should be a sequence in which the automation should be carried out. Right? For example, upstream, downstream impact, considering that in which place I need to do the automation so that I'm able to get the best benefit out of it, right? So it's always it's always that if I bring in an kind of automation and re-engineering and procurement side of the business, then your invoicing side of the aspect will be improved dramatically, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. So this placement of the automation use cases in the right place is really, really critical. That's what I'm trying to say. So as well as before, for doing all this, please have a good amount of process consultants, SMEs collaborating with technologists. It's very important. So these people will help you get the best out of the intelligent automation, this combination of people actually. So if you have only SMEs, they will only think from finance perspective. If you have only technologists, they will think from technology perspective. You need a process consultant. That process consultant will help you look at both sides of it, as well as what else can be re-engineered there. So that's the before even automating. That's the best part with respect to process consulting actually. Right, so that do not ignore it. So now many of us might have an issue, might have some kind of trouble, or we might be thinking that okay, there's so much of automations are taking place. So what is next for me? So automation is just a starting point, right? So there is several disruptions happening digitally, and as you have seen, the business models themselves have changed over the years with the advent of organizations like Amazon, organizations like Flipkart, Alibaba. So likewise, several kind of organizations have come in, and even organizations that are not primarily online in nature, but they have digital aspects. So they are actually, there is a huge disruptions happening. So the entire marketplace has changed in a way that it is in need of people with new skill sets. That's what we are talking about. So that means we will have the need for finance and accounting SMEs, but their utility, their skill set will be used in a different way. You will no longer be sitting and doing invoice processing primarily. You will no longer sitting and doing FP&A analysis primarily. You will no longer will be doing treasury reconciliations, netting and posting primarily. That is the old way of doing things. So new way is basically you can convert yourself, your finance and account skills into process consulting skills, so that you can do business analysis also, where the problems are available in this finance and account section or the department, that and what can be done to improve it, and what type of technology intervention I need to bring in. So that knowledge, if you upgrade yourself, then it's a good career for you. So knowing finance and accounting there really helps you a lot. If I wanted to, can I find out whether something can be simplified within the accounting regulations? I know, like, we cannot go and not everyone can go and influence IFRS aspects and all, but people who are working in IFRS, if they are taking the real thought, if they are just taking the real attempt to simplify the accounting regulations, you are having work to do. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a kind of career. You can also look at ways to eliminate non-necessary reconciliation. That is again a kind of career or a kind of work that you can do. Or if you're working in a shared service center or another service provider for a home organization, another service provider can come and just rebadge you so that you are not losing your job. That's the reality. So many shared service centers are getting rebadged. That means the people get to keep their jobs at least for a while, and they'll be able to start. They will have that amount of time to upgrade themselves, as well as they will have the time to start working on their day-to-day activities also. So the learning should be continuous. So it's you who you have to determine which career you need to upgrade yourself to, right? So the days of bookkeeping, old ways of bookkeeping, old ways of reporting, data crunching, reconciliations, those things are getting done in a different way using process reengineering techniques and intelligent automation techniques. As a result, it's important that you start learning continuously and look at avenues to fit yourself in. That means you need not go for a lateral move. Like I was a finance and accounts auditor. Now I have become a kind of technologist because so I need to learn coding. Not that. Within finance and account itself, there are several disruptions happening. For example, when I take up Amazon, it's having its own product services, as well as it's also having the services from other vendors. So there is a huge need for Amazon to ensure the vendor output quality, their product and service related output are accurate, and they are satisfying the customer. That means there is a huge need for bringing in quality practices, quality frameworks into place. So this is a time where people are saying that, oh, due to intelligent automation, the quality inspectors or the quality, people who are into quality management are no more needed in the finance or in the services industry, which is actually a misnomer. They are in need within service industry, but in a different form. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's why I gave the example of Amazon, right? So it's you have to see realize what's happening around you in terms of the disruptions happening, and be very keen and in understanding what type of opportunities it is bringing to you. So why I'm saying this is basically is like I mean, instead of, when I go for consulting, I have seen people really so passionate about what they are doing. They never used to share what they are doing. So ultimately, but still, someday or somewhere, a part of their work is getting automated. That's the reality. That's a fact. So instead of taking it personally, right, look at ways and methods to improve yourselves. Look at ways and methods to upgrading your career, right? So that is what we should be moving towards. So because tomorrow, as a process consultant, some of my work is also getting simplified. Previously, I need to do end-to-end process mapping. Now we have a tool called Celonis, which is challenging my existence, right? So likewise, this technology disruptions have challenged the existence of many people, but it is bringing in a kind of opportunity in a different way. For example, if I am building a bot, it is automating certain type of work, but for maintaining that bot, I need people, right? And for optimally utilizing those bot, I need people. I need RPA managers. So that is how the industry is changing. That's where the industry is moving towards. So, so one last thing, the finance and accounting people, they have an inherent ability to think quantitatively. So that means you can take long lasting better decisions. So why can't you be the best decision makers? Which are the places where decision making is needed? Strategic as well as tactical decision making. That is also the next career for you. So having said that, so there is always a better career waiting for you. So don't get hung up on this is what I was doing, so I'm passionate, I will not leave it. No, every job, everyone's profile is getting challenged on a day-to-day basis. It's up to you how you are upgrading yourself. And for upgrading yourself, all those sayings of theory, you're learning theory. Without theory, you will not get to understand about some particular organization or department or a type of work. And then you, only when you are given the opportunity, you will be implement the theory into practice. So these are all naysayers. That's what I'm trying to say. So these naysayers will always be saying, okay, you are complicating things. There is nothing. There is nothing complicated here. Actually, a lot of things can be made simpler, but certain things remains to be complicated. You need to simply understand it simple, right? So just ignore those naysayers. Focus on your career. Focus on upgrading it well, and be aware that automation is real. Intelligent automation is real. Focus on your strengths. Leverage it well. Actually, thank you so much for the opportunity.